Hey there, I'm Laura Bennett, 31, and the youngest partner at Harper & Klein, a landscape design firm in Seattle. Tonight, my dad, William Bennett, the big-shot founder of Bennett Logistics, is retiring after 35 years of building his empire. I'm sitting at table 12 in a glitzy ballroom at the Fairmont Hotel, nursing a glass of sparkling water, while my brothers, Michael and David, stand tall on stage next to Dad. The room's buzzing with 200 guests, executives, old friends, industry folks, all here to celebrate him. Dad's voice booms through the mic. My boys are my legacy. They've got what it takes to keep this company rolling. Applause erupts, but his next words hit me like a freight truck. Laura, well, she's always been more about planting flowers than real business. Laughter ripples, and something inside me cracks. I grip the small wrapped box on the table, my final gift to him, and stand, my heart pounding. Before I tell you what happened next, let me take you back to how I got here, because this moment's been brewing my whole life. Growing up as William Bennett's only daughter in our sprawling house outside Tacoma was like living under a spotlight that never quite reached me. My earliest memory of being sidelined was at 7, sitting at our oak dining table during one of Dad's Sunday strategy sessions with Michael and David, who were 10 and 12. He was explaining shipping routes, and I piped up with a question about delivery schedules. I'd overheard him on a call and looked up the term in his old logistics manuals. Dad chuckled, ruffled my hair, and said, "Laura, why don't you go help Mom in the garden? This is grown-up stuff." That was the first time I realized my place in his world wasn't the same as my brother. It wouldn't be the last. Dad built Bennett Logistics from a single truck and a handshake deal into a West Coast powerhouse. Born to a mechanic and a schoolteacher in Spokane, he scraped his way through community college, started his company at 22, and by 40, he was a name in the industry. His story, grit, hustle, a classic American dream, was the stuff of trade magazines. But with it came his ironclad beliefs. A man runs the show, a man builds the future, and a man leaves a mark. He'd say it at dinner, like it was gospel. Mom, Ellen, was his opposite. Gentle, a former botanist who quit her research job when Michael was born. She was the one who saw my spark, sitting with me in the backyard as I sketched garden layouts or built miniature parks out of twigs and pebbles. "Your dad moves goods," she'd whisper, her eyes bright, "but you create places that make people feel alive." When she died of ovarian cancer when I was 15, it was like the color drained from my world. At her funeral, I overheard Dad talking to his cousin, his voice low but sharp. "At least Michael and David can take the reins. That's what counts." I pretended not to hear, but those words carved themselves into me. I outshone my brothers in school, valedictorian, full ride to UC Berkeley for landscape architecture, perfect GPA, while they coasted through state schools with Dad's money and barely passing grades. Didn't matter. "Landscaping's a hobby, not a business," Dad said when I showed him my Berkeley acceptance letter, his tone dismissing years of my work. "No Bennett's ever been a gardener." 3 moments stick out as defining our relationship. First, at 11, my school project on urban green spaces won a state award. Mom was there, clapping so hard I thought her hands would bruise, but Dad skipped it for David's middle school soccer game, even though David mostly warmed the bench. Second, after Mom's death, that funeral conversation confirmed I'd never be part of his vision. Third, at my Berkeley graduation, I gave a speech for the environmental design department. Dad showed up late, missed it, and left early, muttering about Michael needing him for a client lunch that turned out to be a casual chat with a low-level supplier. Michael and David weren't cruel, just comfortable in a system that lifted them up. Sometimes I'd catch Michael looking at me like he knew something was off, but he'd never say it. Once, after Dad called my designs pretty pictures, David mumbled, "That's just how he is," as if that fixed anything. After college, I turned down a token job at Bennett Logistics and joined Harper & Klein, a firm known for sustainable urban projects. Dad scoffed, "You'll be back begging for a desk job in 6 months." 7 years later, I was their youngest partner. My design for the Puget Sound Greenway, a network of parks and trails weaving through Seattle, won the National Landscape Award, basically the Oscars of my field. My salary topped both my brothers, though I kept that quiet. Dad's response? "Nice little project," he'd say, or, "Not like running a company with thousands of jobs." We settled into a routine of distant politeness. Holidays, quick calls, surface-level chats where he'd ask about my gardening and forget my projects' names. I stopped hoping for more. Then the retirement gala invite arrived. Heavy cardstock, gold lettering, announcing William Bennett's farewell at the Fairmont. I stared at it over coffee in my Capitol Hill apartment, the city waking up outside my window. My boyfriend, Ryan, a social worker with a knack for reading people, watched me. "Are you going?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "I have to," I said, though my stomach twisted. My best friend Claire was blunter at our weekly brunch. "He'll make it about your brothers," she warned, slicing into her pancakes. "Prepare for William to be William." I shrugged, hoping a milestone might soften him. Maybe he'll see me differently this time. Claire's skeptical look said it all. A call from Michael came later. "We're doing a tribute video. Can you send some photos? Maybe write a bit about Dad?" I wasn't part of the planning, but I spent hours flipping through old albums, Dad teaching me to ride a bike, grinning when I won a high school art contest, a rare hug at a family barbecue. I wrote a paragraph about his drive, his community donations, tax-driven, sure, but still good, and his ability to navigate market shifts. I didn't mention how he'd sidelined me. Some things didn't belong in a tribute. Choosing an outfit was a minefield. I picked a tailored green blazer and slacks, professional but with subtle floral stitching that nodded to my work. The gift was trickier. What do you give a man who has everything but never saw you? The answer came when I opened Mom's old lockbox, kept since her death. Inside was an envelope with my name in her flowing script. It held clippings of my early design wins, a letter about her pride in my passion, and photos of my childhood park models. "For Laura, when she needs to know her value," Mom had written. That sparked my idea. I spent days gathering my Berkeley degree, my landscape license, award certificates, project photos, financials showing my success, and a USB with a video of my career titled "What It Takes." I wrapped it in forest green paper with a gray ribbon, Bennett Logistics colors, and added a card, "From your biggest disappointment." 2 days before the gala, David called. "Dad's been weird about retiring. Keeps tweaking his speech, acting off." "Maybe he's reflecting," I suggested, hopeful. David sounded doubtful. "Maybe. He said he's glad you're coming, though." That tiny comment lit a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he'd finally see me. Ryan offered to come, but I needed to face this alone. "This is between me and Dad," I told him. "Having you there would help, but I need to do this myself." The night before, I sat in my home office, reviewing my portfolio, reminding myself of what I'd built without Dad's help. The gift box sat on my desk, and I almost left it behind. Then Mom's words echoed, "Sometimes the truth is the kindest thing you can give." I tucked it into a tote bag, ready for tomorrow. The Fairmont's Sapphire Ballroom is a sight. Golden chandeliers casting a warm glow over tables draped in crisp ivory linens. Each centerpiece a cascade of ferns and white dahlias that makes my designer's heart skip. But as I weave through the crowd during the cocktail hour, my tote bag heavy with that gift box, I feel like an outsider in my own family's world. Men in sharp tuxedos clink glasses, their laughter mingling with the soft jazz from a live quartet. I spot Dad across the room, his broad shoulders squared as he shakes hands with a group of logistics execs, his deep chuckle carrying over the hum. My brothers Michael and David hover nearby, their wives, Sarah and Emily, radiant in silk gowns, chatting with board members. I'm alone, clutching a flute of champagne I haven't sipped, fielding polite small talk from Dad's colleagues. "Laura, still playing with plants?" His old golf buddy Carl, his grin half condescending. I force a smile. Designing urban ecosystems, actually. He nods, already looking past me. It's a familiar dance. Mild surprise, vague praise, then dismissal. I find my seat at table 12, tucked near the back with a cousin I barely know, and a few mid-tier managers from Bennett Logistics. The head table, front and center, is reserved for Dad, my brothers, and their wives, a clear signal of where I stand. I set the tote bag by my chair, the weight of that green-wrapped box grounding me as servers glide by with trays of smoked salmon canapés. I pick at one, my stomach too knotted to eat. The lights dim, and a massive screen descends from the ceiling, signaling the start of the program. My pulse quickens. Maybe, just maybe, Dad will say something tonight that shifts things. Maybe he'll see me. The tribute video begins, and the room falls quiet. Soft piano music plays as images flash. Dad in his 20s leaning against his first delivery truck. Dad cutting ribbons at new warehouses. Dad shaking hands with mayors and CEOs. The crowd murmurs approval. Then the family montage hits, and my chest tightens. There's Dad teaching Michael to throw a baseball, cheering at David's high school track meet, and standing proud between them at a company milestone event. I'm in one photo, a blurry shot from a family camping trip when I was 9, my face half hidden behind a marshmallow stick. That's it. No mention of my awards, my projects, or my life. It's like I vanished after that summer. The video ends with a quote from Dad. "My sons are my future." The room claps, but I can't move, my hands frozen in my lap. Speakers take the stage, Bennett Logistics CFO, a longtime client, Michael and David together. My brother's speech is polished, their voices steady. "Dad taught us everything, strategy, grit, leadership," Michael says, his eyes scanning the crowd. "His legacy lives in us," David adds, and the applause is deafening. I shift in my seat, the box's edge pressing against my foot, a reminder of why I'm here. Then Dad steps up, and the room hushes. At 63, he's still commanding. Tall, silver hair catching the spotlight, his tailored suit perfect. He adjusts his cufflinks, a habit I know means he's about to say something big. My heart climbs into my throat. 35 years, he starts, his voice rich and deliberate, from a beat-up truck in Spokane to a network spanning the continent. He recounts his journey, early struggles, bold risks, loyal teams. The crowd hangs on every word. Then his tone softens, and he turns to my brothers, seated behind him. "But my real pride is my legacy, Michael and David. They've shown they've got the chops to carry Bennett Logistics forward. They know what it means to lead, to sacrifice, and to build something lasting." He pauses, and his eyes sweep the room, landing on me. I freeze, hope flickering despite myself. Then he says, "Laura, though, she's chosen her own path. Tending gardens, making things pretty. That's fine, but it's not the real work of this world." A few chuckles break the silence, sharp and jagged in my ears. Some folks just aren't built for the big leagues. The room goes still, the air thick with unease. At the head table, Michael stares at his water. 35 years, he starts, his voice rich and deliberate. From a beat-up truck in Spokane to a network spanning the continent. He recounts his journey, early struggles, bold risks, loyal teams. The crowd hangs on every word. Then his tone softens, and he turns to my brothers, seated behind him. "But my real pride is my legacy, Michael and David. They've shown they've got the chops to carry Bennett Logistics forward. They know what it means to lead, to sacrifice, and to build something lasting." He pauses, and his eyes sweep the room, landing on me. I freeze, hope flickering despite myself. Then he says, "Laura, though, she's chosen her own path, tending gardens, making things pretty. That's fine, but it's not the real work of this world." A few chuckles break the silence, sharp and jagged in my ears. Some folks just aren't built for the big leagues. The room goes still, the air thick with unease. At the head table, Michael stares at his water glass, and David shifts uncomfortably, but neither speaks. The chandelier light feels like a spotlight, pinning me to my chair. My face burns, not with tears but with a fury I've buried for years. Dad keeps talking, praising Michael's contract wins, David's tech upgrades, and their leadership through tough markets. 10 minutes of glowing pride for my brothers. Not a single word more about me. The crowd rises in a standing ovation, but I stay seated, my hand closing around the gift box. Something snaps. Not loud, not dramatic, but final. I can't sit through this anymore. I stand, smoothing my blazer, and start walking toward the stage. The click of my low heels echo in my ears, louder than the fading applause. Heads turn, whispers ripple, but I keep my eyes on Dad, still at the podium, shaking hands with a board member. His smile falters as he sees me coming. Michael half stands, like he might stop me, but David touches his arm, holding him back. I climb the 3 steps to the stage, my heart a drumbeat, every nerve screaming to turn back. Years of pitching designs to skeptical clients have taught me to look calm when I'm anything but, and I channel that now. Inside I'm a mess. Anger, hurt, and a tiny, stubborn hope warring for control. 10 minutes of glowing pride for my brothers. Not a single word more about me. The crowd rises in a standing ovation, but I stay seated, my hand closing around the gift box. Something snaps, not loud, not dramatic, but final. I can't sit through this anymore. I stand, smoothing my blazer, and start walking toward the stage. The click of my low heels echoes in my ears, louder than the fading applause. Heads turn, whispers ripple, but I keep my eyes on Dad, still at the podium, shaking hands with a board member. His smile falters as he sees me coming. Michael half stands, like he might stop me, but David touches his arm, holding him back. I climb the 3 steps to the stage, my heart a drumbeat, every nerve screaming to turn back. Years of pitching designs to skeptical clients have taught me to look calm when I'm anything but, and I channel that now. Inside, I'm a mess. Anger, hurt, and a tiny, stubborn hope warring for control. Dad's grip tightens on the podium, his smile a thin line. "Laura," he says, voice low, the mic still live, "this isn't the moment." I meet his gaze, steady despite the storm inside. "Congratulations on retiring, Dad," I say, my voice clear, carrying across the room. "I brought you something." I hold out the green-wrapped box, its ribbon catching the light. He doesn't take it, his expression shifting to irritation. "Laura, gifts can wait," he says louder, a warning in his tone. I don't flinch. "I think now's perfect," I reply, my words deliberate. "It's from your biggest disappointment. Open it after I'm gone." I place the box in his hands, his fingers closing around it reflexively. Then I turn, walk off the stage, and keep going. Past the head table, past the stunned executives, past the floral centerpieces I'd have designed better. The ballroom doors swing shut behind me, and the silence of the lobby wraps around me like a blanket. I make it to the parking garage before the dam breaks. In my car, I grip the steering wheel, tears spilling hot and fast. I don't sob, not at first. I just sit there shaking as years of being unseen pour out. I'd always known Dad didn't get me, but to say it like that, in front of everyone? It's a betrayal I can't unfeel. My phone buzzes, texts from Michael. "What was that?" Then, "You okay?" David's next. "Dad's rattled. Call me." I mute it and start the engine, the city lights blurring through my tears. 3 blocks later, I pull over, my chest heaving. I did it. I stood up to William Bennett, the man no one challenges. There's no going back now. Ryan's waiting for me to make it to the parking garage before the dam breaks. In my car, I grip the steering wheel, tears spilling hot and fast. I don't sob, not at first. I just sit there, shaking, as years of being unseen pour out. I'd always known Dad didn't get me, but to say it like that in front of everyone? It's a betrayal I can't unfeel. My phone buzzes, texts from Michael. "What was that?" Then, "You okay?" David's next. "Dad's rattled. Call me. I mute it and start the engine, the city lights blurring through my tears. 3 blocks later, I pull over, my chest heaving. I did it. I stood up to William Bennett, the man no one challenges. There's no going back now. Ryan's waiting at my apartment. His evening shift at the community center just ended. One look at me, mascara smudged, hands trembling, and he pulls me into a hug. "That bad?" he asks, his voice soft. I sink into him, letting myself feel the warmth of his arms. "Worse," I manage, and spill it all, Dad's speech, the laughter, the box, and my walkout. "It's everything I am," I say, my voice breaking. My degree, my awards, Mom's letter, and a video of my work. Everything he's ignored. Ryan brushes a strand of hair from my face. "And the note? Calling yourself his disappointment?" I nod, swallowing hard. He said it before, to relatives, when he thought I wasn't listening. I wanted him to face what his disappointment built Ryan's quiet for a moment, then asks, "What now?" I stare at the ceiling, my answer raw and honest. "I don't know. Maybe he'll see me, maybe it won't change a thing, but I couldn't stay silent anymore." Back in the Sapphire Ballroom, the air feels heavier now, like the room itself is holding its breath. William Bennett stands at the podium, the green-wrapped box in his hands, its ribbon slightly crumpled from his grip. The microphone, still live, catches the faint rustle as his fingers hesitate over the wrapping. 200 pairs of eyes are locked on him, the clink of glasses and murmurs of the gala replaced by an uneasy silence. My brothers, Michael and David, sit rigid at the head table, their wives exchanging glances that carry more questions than answers. I'm gone, out in the night, driving through Seattle's rain-slicked streets. But the weight of what I've done lingers here, in that box, at this moment. His evening shift at the community center just ended. One look at me, mascara smudged, hands trembling, and he pulls me into a hug. "That bad?" he asks, his voice soft. I sink into him, letting myself feel the warmth of his arms. "Worse," I manage, and spill it all. Dad's speech, the laughter, the box, and my walkout. "It's everything I am," I say, my voice breaking. My degree, my awards, Mom's letter, and a video of my work. Everything he's ignored. Ryan brushes a strand of hair from my face. "And the note? Calling yourself his disappointment?" I nod, swallowing hard. He said it before, to relatives when he thought I wasn't listening. I wanted him to face what his disappointment built Ryan's quiet for a moment, then asks, "What now?" I stare at the ceiling, my answer raw and honest. "I don't know. Maybe he'll see me. Maybe it won't change a thing." But I couldn't stay silent anymore. Back in the Sapphire Ballroom, the air feels heavier now, like the room itself is holding its breath. William Bennett stands at the podium, the green-wrapped box in his hands, its ribbon slightly crumpled from his grip. The microphone, still live, catches the faint rustle as his fingers hesitate over the wrapping. 200 pairs of eyes are locked on him, the clink of glasses and murmurs of the gala replaced by an uneasy silence. My brothers, Michael and David, sit rigid at the head table, their wives exchanging glances that carry more questions than answers. I'm gone, out at night, driving through Seattle's rain-slicked streets. But the weight of what I've done lingers here, in that box, at this moment. Dad clears his throat, a sound amplified by the mic, and sets the box on the podium. "Well," he says, his voice forcing a lightness that doesn't reach his eyes, "let's see what Laura's left me." The crowd shifts, some leaning forward, others looking away, sensing the raw edge of something personal unfolding. He tugs at the ribbon, slow at first, then with a decisiveness that's pure William Bennett. The green paper falls away, revealing a plain white box, unassuming but heavy with intent. He lifts the lid, and for a moment, he just stares, his face unreadable. Then, one by one, he pulls out the contents, each item a piece of me he's never truly seen. First comes my UC Berkeley diploma, the gold seal catching the chandelier light. He holds it up, squinting at the words. Laura Bennett, Bachelor of Landscape Architecture, summa cum laude. A murmur ripples through the crowd. Some know my work, others are just surprised. He sets it down carefully, like it's fragile, and reaches for the next item. My landscape architecture license, framed in simple black. His fingers trace the embossed state seal, and for a split second his mouth tightens like he's swallowing something hard. Next is the National Landscape Award medal, its bronze surface gleaming as he turns it over, reading the inscription, Puget Sound Greenway, Innovative Design. He pauses, longer this time, and the room feels smaller, the silence deeper. He pulls out a stack of photos. My projects, from community gardens in Tacoma to waterfront trails in Portland, each one a testament to spaces that heal, connect, and bring people together. Then the financial statements, crisp pages showing my income, my investments, numbers that quietly outshine my brother's. The crowd can't see the details, but Dad's jaw shifts, a flicker of something, shock maybe, crossing his face. He sets them aside and finds the USB drive, labeled What It Takes in my neat handwriting. He turns it over like it might explain itself, then places it with the rest. Finally, he lifts an old envelope, yellowed at the edges, with Mom's handwriting, for Laura. His hand stills, and for the first time, the man whose face-down boardrooms and market crashes looks unsteady. He doesn't open it, just holds it, his thumb brushing the ink. The last item is a small note card, folded once. He unfolds it, reads silently, and his face changes. Pales, then hardens, then softens in a way I've never seen. The note's words, though no one else can see them, burn in my mind. You built a company with trucks and deals. I build communities with vision and care. Both take strength. I learned mine by surviving your doubts. Goodbye, Dad. He stares at it, the mic catching a shaky breath. And for a moment, William Bennett looks like a man seeing himself for the first time. Not the titan, not the patriarch, just a father who missed something vital. He tries to speak. The word catches, and he stops, clearing his throat again. The crowd waits, some shifting uncomfortably, others riveted. This concludes the formal program, he says finally, his voice rougher than before. Please enjoy the music and the dessert bar. Thank you for being here. He gathers the items, tucking them back into the box with a care I wouldn't have expected, and steps away from the podium. Michael jumps up, smooth as ever, taking the mic. Let's give it up for William Bennett, a legend, he says, his grin practiced but strained. The band strikes up a lively tune, and conversations restart, tentative at first, like the room's waking from a spell. Dad sits at the head table, the box in front of him, untouched by the servers clearing plates. He opens Mom's envelope first, pulling out her letter. His eyes scan her words, her pride in my passion, her belief I'd build something lasting. He sets it down, his hands trembling just enough to notice, and picks up the financials again, flipping through them like he's searching for a mistake. Then the award medal, which he holds up to the light, turning it slowly. David approaches, cautious, his usual confidence dimmed. Dad, are you okay? He asks, voice low. Dad doesn't look up, just keeps studying the medal. What's in the box? David presses, glancing at the scattered items. Dad's reply is barely audible over the music. Everything I didn't know. Back at my apartment, I'm curled on the couch, Ryan's arm around me, the city's skyline a soft glow through the window. I've stopped crying, but my chest feels hollow, like I've poured everything out and don't know what's left. My phone's off, but I know it's full of messages, Michael's questions, David's concern, maybe even something from Dad. I can't face them yet. Ryan's voice pulls me back. You gave him the truth, he says, his hand warm on my shoulder. That's more than he ever gave you. I nod, but the words don't fill the ache. I wanted him to see me, but now that I've forced him to, I'm not sure what comes next. Did I break something or build it? The next morning, I wake to gray Seattle light filtering through my blinds. Coffee's brewing, but I'm too wired to drink it. I throw myself into work, sketching designs for a new waterfront park project, the kind of challenge that usually steadies me. My colleagues at Harper & Klein are kind, keeping their distance, but I catch the sidelong glances. Word spreads fast in design circles, and by noon, a junior partner, Mia, mentions hearing about some big moment at the Bennett Gala. I brush it off, but it stings. My private pain now a whisper in the industry. Claire calls at lunch, her voice gentle but firm. You need to check your messages, Laura, even if it's just to know where you stand. I shake my head, though she can't see it. Not yet, I say. If I hear his voice, I'll start hoping again, and I can't do that. She sighs, but doesn't push. Just don't shut out the world forever, okay? You're stronger than that. By afternoon, I'm buried in renderings when my office door swings open. It's Michael, his suit slightly wrinkled, his usual polish replaced by something raw. Laura, he says, hovering in the doorway. Can we talk? I blink, caught off guard. He's never visited my office before. I nod, saving my work, and gesture to the chair across my desk. He sits, running a hand through his hair, looking more like a tired older brother than the golden sun. Last night was a lot, he starts, his eyes searching mine. Dad's a mess. He hasn't left his studies since the gala. I keep my face neutral, though my heart skips. That's not my problem, I say, but my voice wavers. Michael leans forward, elbows on his knees. He watched your video, Laura. The one on the USB. He kept playing it over and over like he was trying to memorize it. I swallow, my throat tight. What's that supposed to mean? Michael hesitates, choosing his words. Your projects, the community spaces, the sustainability stuff, the way your designs change lives. He didn't know any of it. None of us did. His voice cracks, and I see something new in his eyes. Regret. I should have paid attention. It was easier to follow Dad's lead. I look away, the weight of his admission hitting hard. You never asked, Michael. Neither of you did. He nods, not defending himself. I know, and I'm sorry. It's the first time he's ever apologized, and it lands like a stone in still water rippling through me. Dad wants to talk, he adds, softer now. He's giving you space, but he's different, like something's shifted. I don't respond, my fingers tracing the edge of my desk. Just think about it, Michael says, standing. And check your email. He sent something last night. He leaves, and the office feels too quiet, my thoughts too loud. I try to focus on work, but Michael's words gnaw at me. By evening, curiosity wins. I open my laptop, my personal email staring back at me. There's a message from Dad, sent at 3:07 a.m. Subject, I'm sorry. The body is short, just 2 lines. I watched your video, Laura. I was wrong about you. Can we talk when you're ready? I read it again, then a third time, searching for the catch, the hidden agenda. There's none, just a rawness I've never seen from him. I close the laptop, my chest tight with something I can't name. Hope, maybe, or fear of it. I need space, distance, anything to clear my head. The next day, I booked a flight to San Francisco for a client meeting about a new urban trail system. It's work, sure, but also an escape, a chance to put miles between me and the fallout of San Francisco's fog rolls in thick as I step off the plane, the damp air a sharp contrast to Seattle's crisp drizzle. I'm here for a client meeting, pitching a trail system to connect underserved neighborhoods with green spaces, but my mind's still back in that ballroom, replaying Dad's stunned face as he holds my gift box. It's been 3 days since the gala, and I've kept my phone on silent, dodging the world. My hotel room at the Embarcadero overlooks the bay, sailboats bobbing in the mist, but even the view can't quiet the storm inside me. I unpack my laptop, my sketches, and the weight of that email from Dad. I was wrong about you, that I haven't answered. Part of me wants to believe him, but years of letdowns make trust feel like a gamble I'm not ready to take. The client meeting goes well, too well, almost. The city planners love my designs, their questions sharp but enthusiastic, and I nail every answer. my voice steady despite the chaos in my chest. Back at the hotel, I'm sketching refinements when my phone lights up with a news alert that stops me cold. Bennett Logistics launches Sustainability Division. William Bennett to lead. I stare at the screen, the words blurring. Dad's supposed to be retired, sipping whiskey on a golf course, not starting new ventures. The article says he's diving into eco-friendly shipping practices, partnering with environmental consultants to cut carbon emissions. It's the kind of pivot I've spent my career advocating for, the kind he used to call hippie nonsense. My fingers hover over the call button, but I don't press it. Is this because of me? Or is it just Dad rewriting the narrative to save face? I call David instead, needing answers but not ready for Dad's voice. He picks up on the second ring, his tone cautious but warm. "Laura, did you see the news?" I skip the small talk. "What's going on with Dad? This sustainability thing, it's out of nowhere." David hesitates, and I can picture him pacing his Bellevue living room, his tie loosened after a long day. "It's not out of nowhere," he says finally. "It's your video. The part about how logistics eats up 30% of global emissions? He's been quoting it like scripture, hired a team of green tech experts, started studying up on solar-powered fleets." I sink onto the hotel bed, my breath catching. "He's serious?" David's voice softens. "He's obsessed, Laura. He says he missed the boat on this stuff, but you didn't. Keeps muttering, you were right here all along." I don't know what to say. The man who scoffed at my gardening is now chasing ideas I've built my life around? It feels too big, too sudden. "What's his angle?" I ask, my skepticism sharp. David sighs. "I thought it was PR at first, too. But he's not sleeping, Laura. He's poring over reports, calling meetings at midnight. It's like he's trying to, I don't know, catch up to you." I close my eyes, the bay's fog pressing against the window. "He can't just flip a switch and undo 30 years, I say, my voice quieter than I mean it to be. "I know," David says, "but he's trying. That's new." We hang up, and I'm left staring at the ceiling, my heart a tangle of doubt and something softer I don't want to name. Back in Seattle a week later, I'm barely through my apartment door when I spot a package on the counter, delivered while I was gone. The return address is Dad's house in Tacoma, his blocky handwriting unmistakable. My pulse spikes. I set my suitcase down, hands hovering over the cardboard like it might bite. Ryan's at work, so it's just me in this thing. The room's so quiet I can hear my own breathing. I leave it unopened for a full day, circling it like a wary animal while I dive into work emails and laundry, anything to avoid what's inside. But by the next evening, curiosity wins out. I grab a knife, slice the tape, and pull out a rolled set of plans, secured with a simple twine tie. My hands shake as I spread them across my dining table. They're blueprints, not for a warehouse or a trucking hub, but for a community park in Enumclaw, Mom's tiny hometown where she grew up picking strawberries and dreaming of college. Handwritten notes in Dad's scrawl fill the margins. Native plants for low water use, rain gardens for runoff, community input for play areas. It's thoughtful and ambitious but rough, like someone new to the game. Tucked inside is a letter, 2 pages on his personal stationery, the kind he used for big deals. I sit, my kitchen chair creaking, and start reading. "Laura," it begins, "these past days have been a reckoning I didn't see coming. Your box, your work, your mother's words. They've forced me to look at truths I've dodged for too long. I failed you, not because you weren't enough, but because I was too stubborn to see how much you are. I judged your path by my own narrow rules. And I was wrong. Your designs, your impact, they're the kind of legacy I should have celebrated, not dismissed. Your mother knew it. Her letter said you'd outshine us all with your heart and grit. She was right, as always. These plans are my first step to make things right. A park in Enumclaw, for your mom's community, for the kids she'd have wanted to inspire. I'd be honored if you'd look at them, maybe share your expertise. If you're not ready, I understand. I'll wait, however long it takes." With regret and respect, Dad. I read it twice, then again, my eyes stinging. There's no polish here, no trace of the man who'd spin a story to win a room. It's raw, almost clumsy, like he's groping for words he's never had to use. The blueprints are earnest but flawed. Wrong plant species for the soil, drainage issues he didn't catch. But they show effort, a spark of the principles I've lived by. I set them down, my throat tight, and pace Laura. Laura, it begins. These past days have been a reckoning I didn't see coming. Your box, your work, your mother's words, they've forced me to look at truths I've dodged for too long. I failed you, not because you weren't enough, but because I was too stubborn to see how much you are. I judged your path by my own narrow rules, and I was wrong. Your designs, your impact, they're the kind of legacy I should have celebrated, not dismissed. Your mother knew it. Her letter said you'd outshine us all with your heart and grit. She was right, as always. These plans are my first step to make things right. A park in Enumclaw, for your mom's community, for the kids she'd have wanted to inspire. I'd be honored if you'd look at them, maybe share your expertise. If you're not ready, I understand. I'll wait, however long it takes. With regret and respect, Dad. I read it twice, then again, my eyes stinging. There's no polish here, no trace of the man who'd spin a story to win a room. It's raw, almost clumsy, like he's groping for words he's never had to use. The blueprints are earnest but flawed, wrong plant species for the soil, drainage issues he didn't catch. But they show effort, a spark of the principles I've lived by. I set them down, my throat tight, and pace Laura. It begins. These past days have been a reckoning I didn't see coming. Your box, your work, your mother's words, they've forced me to look at truths I've dodged for too long. I failed you, not because you weren't enough, but because I was too stubborn to see how much you are. I judged your path by my own narrow rules, and I was wrong. Your designs, your impact, they're the kind of legacy I should have celebrated, not dismissed. Your mother knew it. Her letter said you'd outshine us all with your heart and grit. She was right, as always. These plans are my first step to make things right. A park in Enumclaw, for your mom's community, for the kids she'd have wanted to inspire. I'd be honored if you'd look at them, maybe share your expertise. If you're not ready, I understand. I'll wait, however long it takes. With regret and respect, Dad. I read it twice, then again, my eyes stinging. There's no polish here, no trace of the man who'd spin a story to win a room. It's raw, almost clumsy, like he's groping for words he's never had to use. The blueprints are earnest but flawed, wrong plant species for the soil, drainage issues he didn't catch. But they show effort, a spark of the principles I've lived by. I set them down, my throat tight, and pace the apartment. The city's hum is faint outside. Is this real? Or is it Dad trying to pull me back into his orbit? I want to believe him, but trust is a bridge I've burned too many times. Begins. These past days have been a reckoning I didn't see coming. Your box, your work, your mother's words. They've forced me to look at truths I've dodged for too long. I failed you, not because you weren't enough, but because I was too stubborn to see how much you are. I judged your path by my own narrow rules, and I was wrong. Your designs, your impact, they're the kind of legacy I should have celebrated, not dismissed. Your mother knew it. Her letter said you'd outshine us all with your heart and grit. She was right, as always. These plans are my first step to make things right. A park in Enumclaw, for your mom's community, for the kids she'd have wanted to inspire. I'd be honored if you'd look at them, maybe share your expertise. If you're not ready, I understand. I'll wait, however long it takes. With regret and respect, Dad. I read it twice, then again, my eyes stinging. There's no polish here, no trace of the man who'd spin a story to win a room. It's raw, almost clumsy, like he's groping for words he's never had to use. The blueprints are earnest but flawed, wrong plant species for the soil, drainage issues he didn't catch. But they show effort, a spark of the principles I've lived by. I set them down, my throat tight, and pace the apartment. The city's hum is faint outside. Is this real? Or is it Dad trying to pull me back into his orbit? I want to believe him, but trust is a bridge I've burned too many times. The next day, I'm at my desk at Harper and Klein, the blueprints spread out beside my laptop. I'm tweaking them absently, swapping out water-hogging shrubs for drought-tolerant natives. When Claire stops by, her coffee mug steams. "You're quiet today," she says, leaning against the doorframe. "That package from your dad?" I nod, not looking up. Blueprints for a park, and a letter saying he's sorry. Her eyebrows shoot up. William Bennett apologizing? That's new. I shrug, but my voice betrays me. What if it's just words? I've fallen for his "I'll do better" before. Claire sits, her eyes steady. Maybe it is, but maybe it's not. You won't know unless you talk to him. You're not that kid hoping for his approval anymore. You're Laura Bennett, who builds things that matter. You can handle him. The city's hum is faint outside. Is this real? Or is it Dad trying to pull me back into his orbit? I want to believe him, but trust is a bridge I've burned too many times. The next day, I'm at my desk at Harper and Klein, the blueprints spread out beside my laptop. I'm tweaking them absently, swapping out water-hogging shrubs for drought-tolerant natives, when Claire stops by, her coffee mug steaming. "You're quiet today," she says, leaning against the doorframe. "That package from your dad?" I nod, not looking up. Blueprints for a park, and a letter saying he's sorry. Her eyebrows shoot up. William Bennett apologizing? That's new. I shrug, but my voice betrays me. What if it's just words? I've fallen for his "I'll do better" before. Claire sits, her eyes steady. Maybe it is, but maybe it's not. You won't know unless you talk to him. You're not that kid hoping for his approval anymore. You're Laura Bennett, who builds things that matter. You can handle him. Her words stick with me, and by evening I'm drafting a text. My fingers hover, delete, and rewrite. Finally, I send it. Coffee at Soundview Brew, Friday, 9 a.m. Dad's reply is instant. I'll be there. My stomach flips, a mix of dread and something lighter, like the first crack of sunlight after a storm. I don't know what I'm walking into, but for the first time, I feel like I'm not chasing his shadow. I'm standing in. The morning of the coffee meeting dawns with a rare Seattle sunrise, golden light spilling over Puget Sound, painting the water in hues that make my designer's heart ache for a sketch pad. But as I walk into Soundview Brew, a cozy cafe with weathered wood tables and the scent of fresh roasted beans, my stomach's in knots. I pick a corner table by a window, the view of ferries gliding across the bay a small anchor against the uncertainty swirling inside me. My cappuccino sits untouched, foam collapsing into itself, as I wait for Dad. I'm early, a habit from years of proving myself in rooms where I'm underestimated. The blueprints from his package are tucked in my bag, marked up with my notes, a silent testament to the bridge we might build or burn today. Dad arrives right at 9, his broad frame filling the doorway. He's in a navy blazer, no tie, his silver hair neatly combed, but his face carries new lines, like the last few weeks have carved deeper grooves than years of boardroom battles. He spots me, hesitates, then walks over, his usual commanding stride softened, almost tentative. "Laura," he says, standing by the table, his voice quieter than I've ever heard it. "Thank you for this." I nod, gesturing to the chair across from me. "Coffee?" He sits, hands folding on the table like he's unsure where to put them. "Black, please." I signal the barista, and we sit in silence, the hum of the cafe, clinking mugs, soft chatter, filling the space between us. The barista delivers his coffee, and I break the quiet, my voice steady but guarded. The park plans. They're a start, but they need work. Soil types are off, drainage isn't optimized. Dad's eyes light up, a flicker of the old William Bennett, but it's different, less about control, more about curiosity. "I figured," he says, leaning forward. I've been reading up, but it's new territory. What would you change? I pause, surprised he's asking, not telling. I pull out the blueprints, spreading them between us, and walk him through my revisions. Native ferns for low maintenance, permeable paths for runoff. He listens, really listens, jotting notes on a napkin, asking questions about biodiversity I never thought he'd care about. It's the first time we've talked like this, like equals, and it feels both foreign and fragile, like a seedling pushing through concrete. But I didn't come here just for blueprints. I set the plans aside, my hands steadying around my mug. Why now, Dad? After all these years, why care about my work now? His face shifts, the confidence draining, leaving something raw. He stares into his coffee, like the answer's hidden in the black. Your note, he says finally, his voice low. The one in the box, about building with vision and care. It hit me hard, Laura. Reminds me of something your mom said, back when you were little, after I brushed off one of your garden sketches. He swallows, his eyes distant. She said I was so busy building a business I couldn't see you were building a better world. I didn't get it then. I'm starting now. My throat tightens, Mom's voice echoing through his words, a memory I didn't know they'd shared. She told me something else, he continues, his voice rougher now. The night before she passed, she made me promise to back your dreams, no matter what they were. I broke that promise, Laura. Not just broke it, I buried it under my own damn pride. He looks up, meeting my eyes, and there's a weight there, a regret so deep it's almost physical. I treated you differently because you were my girl and thought you needed less from me than your brothers. I was wrong. And I'm sorry. The apology lands like a stone in my chest, heavy and real. I've waited years for these words, but they don't erase the hurt. They just make it ache differently. I spent my whole life trying to prove I was enough, I say, my voice quieter than I mean it to be. Every award, every project, I thought maybe this one would make you see me. It never did. Dad's face crumples, just for a second before he steadies it. I saw the achievements, he says, but I didn't see you, not the way I should have. Your video, your work, it's not just awards, Laura. People's lives changed because of you. That's bigger than any deal I ever closed. I look out at the bay, the ferries carving slow paths through the water, and feel the weight of his words. They're sincere, I can tell, but sincerity doesn't rebuild trust overnight. What changed? I ask, my eyes back on him. Was it just the video or something else? He leans back, exhaling like he's been holding his breath. It was everything. Your note, your mom's letter, seeing your life laid out in that box. But mostly it was losing you. When you walked out, I realized I'd pushed you so far I might never get you back. That scared me more than any business failure ever could. The cafe noise fades, and it's just us, two people trying to find a way through decades of missed chances. I want to believe him, but the girl who grew up in his shadow is still there, whispering caution. I don't know if I can just forgive and move on, I admit, my fingers tracing the rim of my mug. I want to, but it's not that simple. Dad nods, no trace of defensiveness. I don't expect it to be. I just want a chance to show you I'm trying. The park, the sustainability push. It's not about fixing things. It's about learning from you if you'll let me. His voice cracks, just barely, and it's the most vulnerable I've ever seen him. We shift back to the blueprints, safer ground. He asks about community engagement, how to involve Enumclaw locals in the park's design, and I share ideas, workshops, youth programs, and spaces for elders to gather. He scribbles more notes, his enthusiasm almost boyish. And for a moment, I see the man Mom fell in love with, the one who dreamed big before the world hardened him. The barista refills our coffees and we keep talking, the conversation flowing easier than I expected. But as we wrap up, Dad hesitates, his hands folding the blueprints with care. Your brothers, he says. They'd like to see you. No pressure, just when you're ready. I nod, not committing. One thing at a time, I say, and he accepts it, a small smile breaking through. I leave the cafe with a strange lightness, like I've shed a layer of armor I didn't know I was wearing. The meeting wasn't a fix, not a grand reconciliation, but it was a start. Honest, messy, real. Over the next few days, I throw myself into work, but Dad's words linger, softening the edges of my guarded heart. I start refining the Enumclaw Park plans, not just as a favor, but because the project matters, to Mom's memory, to the community, to the part of me that still believes in building something good. Emails from Dad trickle in, not pushy, just updates on the sustainability division and questions about green design principles. I answer, brief but open, testing the waters. Then, a week later, David texts, inviting me to dinner at his house. Just us, Emily, Michael, and Sarah. Dad too, if you're okay with it. I stare at the message, my thumb hovering. Claire's voice echoes. You're stronger than that. And I realize she's right. I'm not the kid begging for a seat at the table anymore. I text back, okay, I'm in. The reply comes fast, a simple, see you Saturday, but it feels like a door cracking open, one I'm finally ready to step through. Saturday evening arrives with a soft Seattle drizzle, the kind that makes the city feel like it's whispering secrets. I pull up to David's house in Bellevue, a modern sprawl of glass and cedar tucked into a quiet cul-de-sac. The glow from the windows spills onto the wet driveway, promising warmth, but my hands linger on the steering wheel, nerves humming like a tightly strung wire. Dinner with my brothers, their wives, and Dad feels like stepping onto a stage where the script's been rewritten, and I'm not sure of my lines. I grab my bag, those Enumclaw Park blueprints inside just in case, and head to the door, my breath visible in the cool air. This isn't just a meal. It's a test of whether we can build something new from the ashes of that gala night. Emily, David's wife, opens the door, her smile genuine but careful, like she's navigating fragile ground. Laura, you made it, she says, pulling me into a quick hug. The house smells of roasted garlic and fresh bread, and the chatter from the dining room carries a cautious energy. I step inside, shedding my coat, and spot Michael and Sarah in the living room, sipping wine by a sleek fireplace. Michael looks up, his face softening with relief. Hey, sis, he says, crossing the room to hug me, his embrace tighter than usual. Sarah follows, her eyes kind. Good to see you, Laura. I nod, managing a smile, but my gaze drifts to the dining room, where Dad's voice rumbles low and steady, talking to David about something I can't quite catch. We gather around the table, a long slab of reclaimed wood set with simple white plates and sprigs of rosemary at each place, a touch I know is Emily's, her way of making things feel intentional. Dad sits at one end, his presence still commanding but softer, like a lion choosing to rest. I take the seat across from Michael, the blueprints in my bag, a quiet anchor at my feet. The food comes out, grilled salmon, herbed potatoes, and a crisp salad, and conversation starts safely. Sarah's new teaching job, David's marathon training, and the Seahawks' latest game. But there's an undercurrent, a shared awareness of the night that changed everything, hovering like a shadow we're all waiting to address. Halfway through the main course, Emily breaks the ice, her voice gentle but direct. Laura, David told me about your park project in Enumclaw. It sounds incredible. The table quiets, all eyes on me. I pause, fork hovering, caught off guard by the spotlight. It's early stages, I say, setting my fork down. A community space, native plants, and areas for kids and seniors. It's personal. I glance at Dad, who's watching me, his expression unreadable but attentive. David jumps in, his tone warm. Dad's been raving about your ideas, Laura. Says your revisions are game changers. Michael nods, a small smile tugging at his lips. He's not wrong. I saw the plans. Those rain gardens? Smart, I blink, the praise unexpected, especially from my brothers. Dad clears his throat, setting his glass down with a soft clink. Laura's work is more than smart, he says, his voice steady but carrying a weight that draws every gaze. It's transformative. The way her designs weave people and nature together. It's what I never understood until now. My chest tightens, not with the old ache of dismissal, but with something new, something raw. He's not just talking to me, he's saying this to everyone, rewriting the narrative he set at the gala. I want to believe it, but the scars of his words still sting. Sarah, sensing the shift, leans forward. Laura, tell us about your latest project. The one in San Francisco, right? I hesitate, then dive in, describing the urban trail system, how it connects forgotten neighborhoods to parks, giving kids safe places to play. The table listens, really listens, and for the first time I feel seen. Not as the little sister or the gardener, but as Laura, the woman who builds things that matter. Dad asks a question about soil remediation, his tone curious, not commanding, and I answer, the words flowing easier than I expect. Michael chimes in with a logistics angle, how to move materials sustainably, and David suggests a community art component. It's not perfect, but it's a conversation, a real one, and it feels like the family I always wanted but never had. As dessert arrives, lemon tart, tart, and sweet like this moment, Dad shifts in his seat, his hands folding together. Laura, he says, his voice quieter now. I've been thinking about that night, what I said. I was wrong. Not just in what I said, but in how I saw you for years. I'm trying to make that right, but I know it's not enough. The room stills, the clink of forks pausing. My brothers exchange glances, but no one interrupts. I meet Dad's eyes, my heart pounding. It hurts, I say, my voice steady but raw. Not just that night, but every time you made me feel like my work, my life, was less. I built everything I have despite that, but I shouldn't have had to. Dad nods, his face tight with regret. You shouldn't have. Your mom would have called me out years ago, and she'd have been right. I'm learning, Laura, from you, from her memory. The park, the sustainability work. It's my way of starting, but I know it's just a start. Michael clears his throat, his voice soft. We didn't help either, he says, looking at me. We let Dad's view shape ours, and that was wrong. I'm sorry, Laura. David nods, his eyes meeting mine. Me too. We should have seen you sooner. The apologies hang in the air, heavy but honest, and I feel a crack in the wall I've built around my heart. I don't forgive them, not fully, not yet. But I nod, acknowledging their words, and the conversation shifts, lighter now, to plans for the park. Dad pulls out his phone, showing me an email from an Enumclaw council member, excited about community input sessions. I share an idea for a youth design workshop, and Emily suggests involving local artists. It's not seamless, there's still tension, years of habits to unlearn, but it's a step, a table set for something new. As I drive home, the city's light smearing through the rain, I feel a quiet hope, like the first green shot after a long winter. Over the next few weeks, the park project becomes a tether, pulling me and Dad closer without forcing it. We meet for coffee again, then lunch, discussing layouts, budgets, local flora. He defers to my expertise, asking more than telling, and I start to see a man I barely knew, a man capable of change, however late. My brothers reach out too. Michael sends a link to a green logistics study, and David invites me to a Mariners game. It's small, but it's real. And when I visit Harper and Klein, my colleagues notice a shift in me, a lightness Mia calls new energy. Claire, over brunch, grins when I tell her about the dinner. You're building a family, Laura, not just a park, she says. And I don't argue. Then, one morning, I get a call from Dad. The Enumclaw Council's approved the park, he says, his voice bright with excitement. They want you to speak at the groundbreaking, Laura, not me, you. My breath catches, the weight of his words sinking in. It's not just a project anymore, it's a chance to stand where I belong. The morning of the Enumclaw Park, groundbreaking dawns with a sky so clear it feels like the world's holding its breath for something big. I'm standing on a grassy field just outside town, where Mom used to run as a kid, the Cascade foothills rising in the distance like silent witnesses. The air smells of damp earth and pine, and a crowd's gathered, local families, council members, reporters, even a few Harper and Klein colleagues who drove down to support me. A ceremonial shovel propped nearby, its blade glinting in the sunlight, but it's the podium that draws my eye, a simple wooden stand where I'll speak today. Not Dad, me. My hands tremble as I smooth my jacket. A tailored sage green piece that feels like armor, my bag at my feet holding those blueprints we've poured months into. This isn't just a park, it's a reckoning, a chance to stand where I've always belonged. The crowd's buzzing, kids are chasing each other through the grass, and parents are sipping coffee from a local vendor's cart. I spot my brothers near the front. Michael, his arm around Sarah, and David joking with Emily, their smiles warm when they catch my eye. Dad's off to the side, talking to the mayor, his posture relaxed but his gaze flicking to me every few seconds, like he's anchoring himself to this moment. We've come far since that gala night. Coffee talks, late-night emails about the park, quiet moments where he's learned to listen. But today's different. Today, I'm not just his daughter or the gardener he dismissed. I'm Laura Bennett leading this project, claiming my place. The mayor steps to the podium, her voice bright as she welcomes everyone, thanking Bennett Logistics for funding the park and me for its vision. The crowd claps and my pulse quickens. She introduces me and I walk up, the grass soft under my boots, every eye on me. I adjust the mic, take a breath, and let the words come, raw and real, like I'm talking to a friend. This park, I start, my voice steady despite the butterflies, is more than a place to play or walk. It's a promise, to this community, to the land, to the people who shaped us. I pause, scanning the faces, finding Dad's, his expression soft, unguarded. My mom grew up here, dreaming big in a small town. She believed in spaces that lift people up, that give kids a chance to imagine, elders a place to rest, and families a way to connect. This park, named the Ellen Bennett Community Green, is her legacy, and it's ours too. The crowd murmurs, some nodding, others wiping eyes. I talk about the design, native plants to save water, paths for accessibility, and a pavilion for art and music, all shaped by Enumclaw's input. Every choice here, I say, is about building with care, with vision, with heart. Because that's what lasts, not just steel or stone, but the stories we create together. I share a memory of Mom teaching me to plant seeds, her hands guiding mine, her voice promising they'd grow if I gave them time. This park is a seed, I conclude, my throat tight, planted for tomorrow, for all of us. Thank you for being here to help it grow. The applause rises, warm and full, and I step back, my chest light, like I've shed a weight I carried too long. Dad's the first to reach me, his eyes bright with something I've never seen. Pride, not for a deal or a son, but for me. Laura, he says, his voice thick, you're incredible. He pulls me into a hug, brief but fierce, and I let myself lean into it, feeling the shift between us. Michael and David join us, their grins wide. You killed it, sis, Michael says, clapping my shoulder. David nods, his voice soft. Mom would have loved this. We stand there, a family not fully healed but growing, the crowd milling around us, the shovel waiting for its moment. The ceremony moves to the groundbreaking, and I grip the shovel with the mayor, Dad, and a local kid who won a design contest for the park's logo. We dig into the earth, the soil rich and dark, and the crowd cheers, cameras flashing. At the reception after, under a tent with string lights twinkling, I overheard Dad talking to a council member. My daughter showed me what really counts, he says, not knowing I'm near. She's got more vision than I ever did. My eyes sting, but I smile, sipping cider, letting his words settle like seeds of their own. As the evening winds down, Dad finds me by the tent's edge, the foothills now silhouettes against a dusky sky. He's holding a small package, wrapped in plain brown paper, his hands fidgeting like he's nervous. One last thing, he says, offering it to me. I unwrap it, revealing a small model, a child's creation of cardboard and pipe cleaners, a tiny park with a scribbled sign, Laura's Dream Garden. I recognize it instantly, a project I made at 6, complete with foil ponds and tissue paper trees. "Your mom saved it," Dad says, his voice soft. "She said you saw the world differently, even then. I should have listened." I hold the model, fragile but enduring, and feel Mom's faith, Dad's regret, and my own strength weaving together. "Thank you," I say, my voice steady, meeting his eyes. "For this, for the park, for trying." He shakes his head, a faint smile breaking through. "No, Laura, thank you, for not giving up on your dreams, on yourself, or even on me." We stand there, the crowd's hum fading, the stars emerging above, and I realize this isn't about erasing the past. It's about building atop it, like laying a foundation on rocky ground. The gala night broke us open, but what we're creating now, trust, respect, a family remade, is stronger for it. Months later, the Ellen Bennett Community Green opens, its paths winding through blooming ferns, kids laughing on swings, and elders sharing stories under the pavilion. I visit often, sometimes with Dad, sometimes alone, watching the space live and breathe. My brothers join me one day, and we walk the trails, their questions about my work genuine, their laughter easy. Dad's sustainability division grows too. His trucks are now solar-powered, his passion fueled by a purpose I helped spark. At Harper & Klein, my projects expand. Parks, trails, urban oases, each one a testament to what I've always known. Building with heart changes everything. Looking back, that gala night was the hardest gift I ever gave. It forced Dad to see me, but more than that, it showed me my own worth. I didn't need his approval to shine. I'd been doing it all along. If you've ever had to stand up to someone who doubted you, you know the cost, the courage, and the clarity it brings. Share your story below, because sometimes the greatest thing we can do is show the world who we are, even when it's tough. Thanks for coming along on this journey. I hope it reminds you that your dreams, your heart, your truth